test, contents, explanation.
SAT, 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 test, contents, explanation.
Content specification CGD-ADDG-DAN and writing reading and writing section of the Digital SAT Suite assessments is designed to assure students' attainment of critical college and career readiness in literacy. The section focuses on key elements of comprehension, rhetoric, and language use that the best available evidence identifies as necessary for college readiness and success. In this section, students answer multiple-choice questions requiring them to read, comprehend, and use information and ideas in texts, analyze the craft and structure of texts, revise texts to improve the rhetorical expression of ideas, and edit texts to conform to core conventions of standard English. Reading and writing content domains. Questions on the reading and writing section represent one of 4 content domains: craft and structure. Measures the comprehension, vocabulary, analysis, synthesis, and reasoning skills and knowledge needed to understand and use high-utility words and phrases in context, evaluate texts rhetorically, and make connections between topical-related text information and ideas. Measures comprehension, analysis, and reasoning skills and knowledge and the ability to locate, interpret, evaluate, and integrate information and ideas from texts and informational graphics tables, bar graphs, and line graphs. Standard English conventions. Measures the ability to edit texts to conform to core conventions of standard English sentence structure, usage, and punctuation. Expression of ideas. Measures the ability to revise text to improve the effectiveness of written expression and to meet specific rhetorical goals. Questions from all 4 domains appear in each reading and writing test module, beginning with craft and structure questions and then continuing through information and ideas, standard English conventions, and expression of ideas questions. Questions within that craft and structure, information and ideas, and expression of ideas content domains that is similar skills and knowledge are grouped together to reduce the need for context switching and arranged from easiest to hardest. This makes it easier for students to budget their time and allows each test taker the best opportunity to show what they know and can do. Questions in the standard English conventions content domain are arranged from easiest to hardest regardless of which specific convention is being tested. Table 2 provides a breakdown of question distribution by content domain. The Digital SAT Suite of Assessments Specifications Overview 12. Table 2. Digital SAT Suite of Assessments Reading and Writing Section Content Domains and Question Distribution. Commitment or knowledge distinct points operation whisk and structure. A student will use comprehension, vocabulary, analysis, synthesis, and reasoning skills and knowledge to understand and use high-utility words and phrases in context, evaluate texts rhetorically, and make connections between topically related texts, words in context. Text structure and purpose. Zekrus text connections. 28 13 15 Questions information ID. Students will use comprehension, analysis, and reasoning skills and knowledge and the ability to locate, interpret, evaluate, and integrate information and ideas from texts and informational graphics. Central idescent details command of evidence textual quantitative Einversen. 26 12 14 Questions. Standardings will use editing skills and knowledge to make text conform to core conventions of standard English sentence structure, usage, and punctuation. Boundaries form, structure, and sense. 26 11 15 Questions. Expression of ideas. Students will use the ability to revise texts to improve the effectiveness of written expression and to meet specific rhetorical goals. Rhetorical synthesis. Translation. 28 12 Questions. Math section of the Digital SAT Suite assessments is designed to measure students' attainment of critical college and career readiness knowledge and skills in math. The Digital SAT Suite math section focuses on key elements of algebra, advanced math, problem solving and data analysis, and geometry and trigonometry except for the PSAT 8/9, which does not test trigonometry that evidence identifies as necessary for college and career readiness and success. Over the course of the math section, students answer multiplex and student-produced response SPAR questions that measure their fluency with, understanding of, and ability to apply the math concepts, skills, and practices that are most essential for readiness for entry-level post-secondary work. The Digital SAT Suite of Assessment Specifications Overview 13 Math Content Domains questions on the math section represent one of 4 content domains. Algebra measures the ability to analyze, fluently solve, and create linear equations and inequalities, as well as analyze and fluently solve equations and systems of equations using multiple techniques. Advanced math measures skills and knowledge central for progression to more advanced math courses, including demonstrating an understanding of absolute value, quadratic, exponential, polynomial, rational, radical, and other nonlinear equations. Problem solving and data analysis measures the ability to apply quantitative reasoning about ratios, rates, and proportional relationships, understand and apply unit rate, and analyze and interpret 1 and 2 variable data geometry and trigonometry SAT, PSAT or NST, PSAT 10 geometry PSAT 8-9, measures the ability to solve problems that focus on area and volume, angles, triangles, and trigonometry, and circles. Note, PSAT 8/9 doesn't include trigonometry questions. Questions from all 4 content domains appear in each test module. Across each module, questions are arranged from easiest to hardest, allowing each test taker the best opportunity to demonstrate what they know and can do. Table 3 provides an overview of the question distribution by content domain. Table 3, Digital SAT Math Section Content Domains and Question Distribution Thesis table shows information for the SAT. Tables for the PSAT-related assessments are broadly similar and can be found in the full assessment framework document. Content domain distinction or knowledge distinct points operation TWISC will analyze, fluently solve, and create linear equations and inequalities, as well as analyze and fluently solve equations and systems of equations using multiple techniques. Linear equations in 1 variable, linear equations in 2 variables, linear function systems of linear equations in 2 variables, linear inequalities in known or 2 variables. 35, 13, 15 questions. Advanced math students will demonstrate the ability to progress to more advanced math courses, including demonstrating an understanding of absolute value, quadratic, exponential, polynomial, rational, radical, and other nonlinear equations. Equivalent extension equations in 1 variable and systems of equations in 2 variables. Nonlinear functions. 35, 13, 15 questions. The Digital SAT Suite of Assessment Specifications Overview 14 Table 3, Digital SAT Math Section Content Domains and Question Distribution Thesis table shows information for the SAT. Tables for the PSAT-related assessments are broadly similar and can be found in the full assessment framework document. Content domain distinction or knowledge distinct points operation TWISC on data analysis. Students will apply quantitative reasoning about ratios, rates, and proportional relationships, understand and apply unit rate, and analyze and interpret 1 and 2 variable data, ratios, rates, proportionalization, and units percentage in variable data, distributions and measures of center and spread variable data, models and scatter plasticity and conditionability from sample statistics and margin of error evaluating statistical calculums, observational studies and experiments. 1557 questions. Geometry and trigonometrists will solve problems that focus on area and volume, angles, triangles, and trigonometry, and circles, area and volume, elements, angles, and triangles, right triangles, and trigonometrical. 1557 questions. The Digital SAT Suite of Assessment Specifications Overview 15 scoring each of the Digital SAT Suite assessments yields 3 scores, a total score and 2 section scores. The total score is based on students' performance on the entire assessment and is the arithmetic sum of the 2 section scores. 2 section scores, one for reading and writing and the other for math, are based on students' performance on each section. Note: subscores and cross-test scores will no longer be reported for the Digital SAT Suite. Vertical score scale. The assessments in the suite remain on a vertical score scale so that students and educators can meaningfully track growth over time. Table 4 details how the vertical scale works for the Digital SAT Suite. Table 4, Digital SAT Suite Total Score and Section Score Scales Testing Program Total Score Scale Section Score Scale SAT 8/9 2401440 in 10-point intervals 1 to 0 7 to 0. In 10-point intervals SAT or NEMSTAND PSAT 103201 to 0. In 10-point intervals 160760. In 10-point interval SAT 4001600. In 10-point intervals 200800. In 10-point intervals benchmarks help students and educators better understand what scores mean and how to interpret progress toward college and career readiness over time. College Board has empirically established benchmark scores for PSAT 8/9, PSAT 10, PSAT or NST, and the SAT. College and career readiness benchmarks establish the points on the score scale at or above which students are considered college and career ready. Have a high likelihood of succeeding in common entry-level credit-bearing post-secondary courses, while grade-level benchmarks help students and their families, teachers, and others track progress toward college and career readiness. Table 5 lists the benchmark scores for each assessment based on the age and attainment of the typical test-taking population. Note that because these scores are based on the performance of many students over many years, they are highly stable but also subject to occasional revision if and when test performance patterns change. We will continue to review and analyze performance data as cohorts of students take the Digital SAT Suite. The Digital SAT Suite of Assessment Specifications Overview 16 Table 5, Digital SAT Suite Benchmarks, by Test Section and Testing Program SAT PSAT or NEMSTAND PSAT 10 PSAT 8/9 Benchmark Scoring Gantwarite and Career Readiness 480 53,000 11th grade 460 51,000 10th grade 434,800 9th grade 410 4,500 8th grade 394 30 Skills Insight. Skills Insight is a tool developed by College Board to help SAT Suite test users better understand the meaning of scores by describing the skill and knowledge attainment that these scores typically represent. The Skills Insight descriptors are vertically aligned so that they show progression in skill and knowledge attainment across successively higher score bands. Collectively, these descriptors provide more transparency around the meaning of scores in a different way than quantitative indicators such as benchmarks or percentile ranks. Skills Insight information will continue to be included in student score reports for the Digital SAT Suite. Score reports. The student score report is used by students, parents, and educators to better understand student scores on a Digital SAT Suite test. The score report doesn't just present students with their scores, it also helps them understand their own progress toward their post-secondary goals, as well as how their scores compare to those of other students. In addition to scores, student reports include performance growth across the SAT Suite. Students will see how they are progressing between PSAT 8/9, PSAT or NST and PSAT 10, and the SAT. Information on content areas and domains to help students pinpoint where to focus their practice to improve their score, with links to practice resources. Score comparisons and percentile rankings for a variety of test-taker populations, including the student's school, district, and state, as well as all test takers. Progress toward established benchmarks. National Merit Scholarship qualifying information if they took the PSAT or NST. Opportunities to connect to resources for college planning. Big Future Scholarships. Big Future Scholarships, Advanced Placement, and Student Search Service. The Digital SAT Suite of Assessment Specifications Overview 17 comparing scores from the current SAT to Digital SATO facilitate the transition from the current SAT to the Digital SAT. Scores on the Digital SAT will be statistically linked to scores on the current SAT through a series of studies conducted in 2022. The underlying linking methodology is essentially the same as that used in most assessment programs to equate alternate test forms over time. The Digital SAT and paper and pencil SAT measure similar, but not identical, content, so a score on the paper and pencil test is not a perfect predictor of how a student would perform in the digital test and vice versa. Directly linking the digital SAT to the current SAT will enable a variety of stakeholders to use both digital SAT scores and current SAT scores with it the need for further conversions.